Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Talk with Preggy. With me here and with two people, so they're going to introduce themselves.
I'm Marie Pastangang, Preggy's ambassador.
My name is Adama and Nurse.
So I have a few questions for them as usual. Bearing in mind that this is our teenage pregnancy month, our questions will be centered around teenage pregnancy. So question 1. A teen decides to get an abortion without telling anyone, neither her parents nor her partner. First question, is keeping a secret a sign of independence or fear?
Thank you very much for that question. I think it is more of fear than independence, because as a teenager, it is most likely that she doesn't have adequate information on her body or even how to manage pregnancy. So, given the society in which we live in and the fact that comprehensive sexual education has not been made a core aspect in schools or in our society as a whole, she's less knowledgeable. So it is most likely fear.
Wow. Okay, Marie, what do you think?
I think it's fear because of our upbringing. In our homes where I grew up from, if they see you talking to a boy, you are going to receive serious beating. Talk less of you being pregnant. That is completely something else. So I think it's fear.
Okay, it should mean most people are afraid. I myself would be afraid if that happened to me. Okay, should there be a requirement to involve an adult? Do you think they are required to involve an adult in their decision making?
Absolutely, they should involve an adult, because we are talking about the health of not just one person, but the health of two. So, involving an adult will enable, the entire team. I'm talking about the person involved, the teenager involved, the healthcare provider, and the society at large to make a very, very accurate and informed decision. So, involving an adult, or in most cases the child's relative, would help the child to gain, to some extent, adequate knowledge from the parents, to gain support, to ease her mind so there is no mental disorders in the future, because there is the risk of stigmatization. So she should be able to handle the situation in a way that would, lead to a better or more productive outcome.
Yes, most definitely. Because we only prevent pregnancy from happening to teenagers, but once it has already happened, it's very important to make informed decisions, make decisions that will bear desirable outcomes. So it's very important.
Okay, well answered. Question 2. A teenage girl wants an abortion, but her boyfriend begs her not to and promises to step up. Question, should the father have a say in the decision?
Whose father?
The baby's father.
The baby's father. Of course, he has a say. In short, he has a say in the decision. He's responsible for the pregnancy, and accepting that they should keep the baby is already a first step of being responsible. That shows he's accountable for his actions and is willing to stand up for it. So he should definitely have a say.
Of course, he should have a say. However, does he know what is required of him, given the fact that they are teenagers? Does he know? So yes, it shows responsibility and accountability to a great extent. And I think when it comes to decision making, they have a say, and this also should involve, other adults, family members. Yeah.
Can a teenager realistically step up, or is it just emotion talking?
Of course, teenagers can step up. Yeah, that is why we have talk therapy. Yeah, we have psychologists, and we have counselors. Even from secondary school, days back in secondary school, we have counselors that we speak to, and it's a non-judgmental space. So as long as the teenager understands that, okay, there is some level of trust and there is some level of confidentiality, and she is not being judged, yes, she will open up, and there will be people that will advise her. So the moment she has the right knowledge, she understands what she's about to undertake, what she's about to step into, and also the instincts. There is always that natural parental instinct and love that a teenager will experience even during pregnancy. I believe it happens to us, even from speaking from personal experience as a mother. Yeah, she will be able to step up.
Okay. Do you think the same?
Yes, I think so. Okay. You'll be able to step up.
So if you think a 16-year-old can step up to the point of taking care of the child,
they can always do.
The 16-year-old father,
they will always do. With the right guardians, with the right people around them, they will do.
Okay.
They will.
There is for sure the fact that it's going to be difficult. There are those days that you feel like, oh, I cannot do this anymore. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, we hope. And then there's also all these, mental issues. There's postpartum depression and all the workload. Maybe you've dropped out from school and all of that. There's going to be that pressure. You are going to feel that stigmatization. But yes, with the right guidance,
the right support. The most important thing here is the right people around you, people to counsel you, to give you the support that you need, instead of tearing you down and condemning you for the fact that you got pregnant at 16.
Do you think it would be any different if it was rather the father who wanted the abortion and the mother did not? Other in quote cause than the children's care?
Well, we have seen cases like that where the man doesn't want the pregnancy and he opts for an abortion and the girl refuses. In this case, we have seen such cases where the lady insists to keep the pregnancy but the boy or the guy refuses. At that age, he's scared. He doesn't know what the future holds for him and the child. All of that is so overwhelming. He can't even take care of himself, stop less of taking care of the child. Some is irresponsibility and to some it's just fear. And in future you see them coming back to the reality, to accept and to completely stand up for their child. So the fact that the man refuses should not be a reason why a teenage girl is going to opt for an abortion. You see sometimes cases of death, it happens because the guy refuses and the girl doesn't know what to do. She opts for taking drugs that she's not supposed to take in order to get rid of the pregnancy because she thinks she's going to be alone, or they will laugh at her, she got pregnant, and all of those things like that.
So now, who makes the decision? Is it the husband or is it the father, the baby's father or the baby's mother?
From the cases I've seen, it's mostly the parents. The guardians, the people around. Once they come to knowledge of the fact that their daughter is pregnant, I'm not sure they usually make that decision to either keep or terminate the pregnancy. From the cases I've seen, it's usually the parents who make the decision.
I think the parents, from the society in which we live in most cases, the parents make the decision, and to some extent they would want to impose positively in the sense that you know what, keep this child is a blessing, and negatively in the sense that some parents will be like, this child will affect you negatively in the course of time, so you must abort this child. So to me, I feel like with changing in time and knowledge and education and everything, we should let the teenager in question, especially the lady who's kind of pregnancy, have a say. Yes, she has done it at the wrong time. They would always say children are blessings, so I feel like she should have a say. She should be able to have some level of ownership of her body. Yes, at the end of the day, she cannot take care of that child by herself, but I feel like her opinion should be first and second by her parents. Yeah, because at the end of the day, whatever happens at the end of the day will come back to her. If she happens to get rid of this pregnancy, if she's been forced to get rid of this pregnancy, she ends up having severe complications such that in the future she can no longer have kids, or she finds herself in a situation where she even loses her life at the end of the day. The loss will be on her and the family. So I feel like parents should be more open to understanding their children, even in situations where it is difficult like this, because it's like a blow to their faces, it's disappointing and all of that. That they should give the child the right to some extent to say, I want to keep this.
Okay. Do you think abortion is a way of fixing the problem or creating a different problem?
Well, I would say it's a way of fixing a problem in a case where that pregnancy is not, maybe the pregnancy is not viable, or in a case where there is and it is life-threatening to the mother, like there are medical reasons why abortion is approved. There are some reasons, yeah. Or in the case where if that child is the child might be born with some disabilities where it would severely impact the life or affect the life of the mother or the child. Yes, some developmental issues. So I think yes, it solves a problem. But in every other case, I would say it creates a problem. In every other cases, from the stigmatization, the guilt, and so to a great extent you feel the guilt, to other medical and health complications that will cause, including death.
Then now the child becomes free from the pregnancy, from the burden, and from the society, because the way our society is, when people discover that you're pregnant, you find them talking bad about you, trash talking you and all. So what if somebody, if you, okay, for example, me now, I'm telling you that, okay, abortion makes you free from all of that. It relieves you of the burden, because with the pregnancy, you've already learned your lesson about abstinence. You are already like, okay, I should abstinence, I should not do this again. So there's no other lesson that you have to learn. So now you are free to abort. Does it make sense?
It doesn't. To me, it doesn't make sense. Abortion in Cameroon is not legal, except for medical reasons.
Yeah, the people do it.
Yes, they do it, but it's not legalized. You can go to prison if they know that you committed an abortion.
But then, how many people end up
then? That is the thing. It's about doing what is right. It's not that they know or they don't know. Do what is right. It is not acceptable. So a child commits a crime like getting pregnant out of wedlock and at a very tender age. Then the only thing we can do is not to take away the problem from them. They should be responsible for what they have done and be accountable for it. It's not to encourage abortion. What if you take away the first one and she goes and brings another? You keep, how many of them are you going to? Because you are encouraging the teenager. Let them make their mistakes and learn from it by taking full responsibility. That's what I mean.
So we're learning to teach teenagers to be responsible. Okay, the last question. A teen tells her parents and they immediately insist on abortion to protect her future, but she's unsure and feels attached already. Do parents have the right to make this decision for their child?
They don't. To me, they don't have the right.
I think it's barbaric. It's just wrong social and cultural values that have been instituted over time. But the truth is, if you look at this from a very deep perspective, it is wrong, it is cruel, it is barbaric. Yes.
The parents have no right.
They don't have any right.
They don't have any right because they are not God. You don't make life and you have no right to take life. It's murder.
But then what if they say it's their way of training their child and you have no right to tell them what to do?
They are just less informed.
They are less informed.
Yes, they are less informed. Yeah. Yeah, because if they would look at it from a broad perspective rather than focusing on the immediate consequences, quote unquote, they would know that that child is a blessing. And you just need to try. There's always a way around these things. Yes, instead of thinking, let that child, like you said, let that child be responsible, let the child be actively involved. That child will learn better than saying, okay, no, you must, because truly it is encouraging that child. That child go and get pregnant again. Like, at the end of the day, my parents are going to get rid of it and I'm going to move on with my life. At the end of the day, I can enjoy myself, get myself involved in sexual activity, which is really meant for adults at an age, at an inappropriate age, and I'll still get away with it. So even if that child needs to stay out of school for 1 year, let that child stay out of school.
Yes,
take care of that child. Yes, and then with proper follow up and therapy, that child would learn. So that's it.
My only contribution here is the fact that our society, communities where we are, they think that once a child gets pregnant out of wedlock, that's all about them. There's nothing good that can come out of them anymore. But as health personnel, we can, or as educators, we can let these parents know that it's not the end. Once it has happened, we pray and we guard these children so that it doesn't happen. Because we are not here to encourage a teenager having sex or anything of that sort. But once it has already happened, we have the responsibility to let them have these children. Then we help them come back into the society, pick up from where they left. If it's going back to school, learning a trade, whatever that is going to make their lives better and the lives of the little one they now have to take care of. So,
as nurses, we are trained to show empathy. So I feel like majority of the frustration from these parents, especially in cases where they come from poor socioeconomic backgrounds, there's poverty, they really don't have, they're less privileged, and then the little these parents work so hard for, and maybe they're like, want to go to school, learn, as our parents always tell, also you have a better future, and then that slaps them in the face. It truly, at that moment, it is okay for you to feel like it's a major setback, and the world has come to an end. However, it is always important to talk to the right people, get the right information, get the right encouragement, and move on from it.
But then the nurses will see a patient like that. I've seen cases where the midwife will see a patient, a woman in labor, and because she's a teenager, they will start telling her that did you not know that it was this painful before you got into it, and talk down on her like that. Does it not make her to feel worse than she's already feeling?
Definitely does.
But do they not know that they should not do that?
That is so out of the ethics of nursing practice and profession, and these nurses know. Unfortunately, we live in a society where people get into professions and they take these oaths and they don't actually live up to the expectations of the profession. So what I would say is that as an individual, you have to have a strong mental and psychological state, because even apart from nursing, in every other profession, you meet people that will be disappointed, who will verbally abuse you. So you should not let that bring you down, and you should not let that be a reason why you should commit a crime, because like my colleague said, it is illegal in Cameroon, it is criminal in Cameroon. So just condition your mind that you meet those people. We are working on a daily basis to ensure that we really live up to our profession and our ethics, but unfortunately it's not the case.
So those who believe in God, it is also it's ungodly. You don't kill, and you cannot create life. Why do you have to take it away? So abortion is wrong. Whatsoever be the case, let's always encourage them to keep their babies, except it comes with some health complications.
Okay, so is it really the teenager's choice if she's financially dependent on her parents?
You mean if?
Because you said
what you're trying to say is that parents should take the decision if the child is
financially
dependent on them. They shouldn't still take that decision. That child can go out there, do whatever, or the child, it's your child. She is your responsibility. Now she made a mistake. You are going to find a way to survive. Same how you raise that one, you can all help her to raise her own. I don't think because you people are she's financially dependent on you have to force her to commit suicide. To me, it's not right.
But if it's not ready, the mother is not ready, the child is not ready, nobody is ready, and
they should be ready. When you indulge in sexual activities when you know you are not supposed to, you should be ready for the consequences. There's nothing like if you're not ready to take responsibility, you are not ready to take care of the child, don't indulge in activities that will make you have a child. If you are not ready, then don't get into things that will make you have a child.
But then the mother was not involved. Yeah. She has to pay.
It's your child.
I always say that, and this is coming from personal experience, I always say parenting is a push and pull situation. Like you push the child and you pull the child back. Yes, and even though that parent might be like, okay, I'm financially responsible for you, it is not reasonable enough. Yes, it makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, the baby has needs. Yeah, the baby has needs. It makes a lot of sense. However, like I said, with the right, when you talk to the right people, you get the right information, and the moments when you put yourself in a position where, okay, this is a bridge that I am ready to cross, and I know that I am going to cross this bridge. Yes, you would find doors opening for you. Yes, but the moments when you be like, cannot do this financially, and in some cases it's really hard to see that light at the end of the tunnel. It's really hard, because we understand the society in which we live in. the economy is down. Yes, it's really bad. So I know that. Yes.
That's why we have organizations like Preggy Cameroon. They always step in cases like this where there is no way out. They usually give little packs, some gifts, so as to lessen the burden on the families. And they do counseling too. Parents like that need counseling to be able to understand the situation on ground and how they can navigate through it, because it's really not easy. You cannot be struggling to survive and they give you another responsibility. It's really hard. It takes counseling, a lot of counseling, to be able to put all of this together.
And accept the situation. Okay, thank you very much for all your very beautiful contributions. Do you have any take-home message for the people listening to?
I think we have said everything.
Yeah. Children are always a blessing. Pregnancy is a blessing. We are not in the minds of God, but we know that there are times where it's just that one opportunity you have. You may have the opportunity to be pregnant several times, you may have the opportunity to be pregnant once. And it is true that sometimes it comes at a time you are not prepared for. However, having an abortion is not the case. We really encourage comprehensive sexual education in our society, because it is a way in which it provides age-appropriate information. It creates misconception. It provides scientifically accurate and even culturally relatable information, such that the child is able to understand her rights when it comes to her body. She's able to understand her health and her relationships, and and all of that. So, and there are evidences that comprehensive sexual education does not promote sexual activity. And also, to some extent, there should be accessibility to contraceptives, because at the end of the day, we talk. There are people out there, there are teenagers out there that will still go and do and commit the act. So, if they have access to contraceptives, it is a bonus. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you all for watching this episode of Talk with Preggy. Until next time, bye.